Welcome to the Accomplish More podcast, created specifically for the small business owner who doesn't think small. I'm your host, Gayla Scrivener. This show is where you'll learn practical ideas, hints, tips, and tricks to help you grow your small business where you can leverage your time and to accomplish more. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Accomplish More podcast. I'm your host, Gayla Scrivener, and I am excited that you're here. How has your summer been so far? Crazy busy? Well, it seems like that crazy busy time just never ends, does it? Whether it's crazy busy with your business or maybe crazy busy with your family events, life just seems so fast. What we need to do is to slow it down a bit. We need to take some time to pause, gain a new perspective, and plan. If we don't pause once in a while, we just spin our wheels. A method to pause is through mastermind groups. The topic of masterminds is huge. It's not new, but honestly, I didn't realize what a mastermind was up until just a few years ago. You see, over 20 years, I was basically raised in medical management and administration. I started working in an ophthalmologist office as a file clerk at the age of 19. What I did between my college classes was file their charts and make appointment confirmation calls. After only about 3 months there, the office medical biller went on maternity leave, and I was tossed into the billing seat and learned by doing. It was a small office with only one physician. I didn't have many resources to turn to with my questions, and that was before Google. What did we do before Google, really? Well, thinking back on it, I learned by trial and error and actually picking up the phone and calling insurance companies with questions. Now, that lady that went on maternity leave, she didn't come back. She decided to stay home with her new baby, and I was the medical biller for quite a while. I look back on things and wonder, why on earth did that physician entrust a 19-year-old college student with his medical billing? I learned where to go for answers. And later, as I grew in my career in medical administration, I accepted positions in bigger organizations with many more resources. I learned from my peers and admin personnel, and we formed a network. I belonged to professional organizations that were specific to my industry. I learned from others and grew from it. Sometimes those connections led to fruitful opportunities. I tell you all this because up until I jumped out of the medical field to start my own business, I really hadn't heard the word or the term mastermind. Maybe I had heard it, but I didn't internalize what it really meant. I don't know, but what I do know is when I started Scrivener Solutions, I wasn't going to be working in the medical field any longer. I was going to be working with small business owners. I was diving into uncharted territory, at least uncharted for me. I had never owned my own business before. The first thing I knew I needed to do was to meet people. First of all, that was an uncomfortable notion for me. I was already comfortable with meeting people in the medical field because I'd grown to know a good network of those individuals. I was confident in what I did in the medical world, so I didn't feel like I was venturing out too much, and I was in that comfort zone. I had a ton of experience, and I was comfortable in that world. Then, jumping into being in business for myself, I was so unsure of myself. I was confident with my skills that I had. I also knew that I could help people, but how would I meet people? I'm a virtual assistant. I love being behind the scenes. But in order to get my business off the ground, I had to actually get out and be in front of the scenes, not just behind the scenes, and I had to meet people. I was at a loss of where to start first. Sure, maybe local chambers would work, but that didn't really seem like a good fit for me. and I was kind of unsure. Maybe, looking back on it, it could have been a good fit, but I was dragging my feet. Then I heard about a networking group local to the area where I live. It's called the Masterminds of Business. It is a networking group with several industry-exclusive chapters, meaning that there can be only one realtor, one insurance agent, one banker, one person in that chapter of that industry. I happen to be the only virtual assistant in the whole area, so I could pick and choose whichever chapter I wanted. Virtual assistants was a new concept for many who I encountered in these meetings. This group has served me very well over the years. I've made some great connections and great friends. The purpose of the group is to meet people and to encourage passing referrals. Another group that is very similar that you may have heard about is BNI, which stands for Business Network International. Each chapter of the organization holds weekly meetings to discuss their businesses and support one another in the group by passing referrals to each other. There are a ton of referral groups within my local community, whether they're industry exclusive or not. There's a wide variety of formats, but most are basically the same. Go around the room, introduce yourself, collect business cards, and set up meetings outside the regular meetings to get to know the individuals better. Maybe there's some education sprinkled in there, but for the most part, it's focused on who do you know that you can refer your fellow members to. This is a very good and structured way to network with people you may not ordinarily see or meet. Great relationships and connections can come out of such groups. For quite some time, Masterminds of Business was my only group that I'd belonged to. It was a large network, and I have met some amazing people. I've been involved in leadership and helping with events. I even turned down invitations to join similar groups. Why? Because for me, it doesn't make any sense to be involved in numerous referral-based networking groups. Sticking to one and being involved and engaged is all that's needed. Just one. If you aren't careful, being involved in too many of the referral groups will leave you spread way too thin because you're going to more meetings than you are doing other things. I do believe, however, that finding the right group and atmosphere is super important. You have to give it a fair shake and not join just 1 month and then move on to another group shortly afterwards. You need to stick to it for a while. To make good connections, good, genuine connections, you need to get involved and become engaged. It's possible that you and your business evolves, that you may need to transition into a different kind of networking group with different individuals and place your focus there. I believe that being involved in some sort of networking is important. They don't have to be groups that meet weekly. Groups that hold monthly meetings or even conferences are great networking opportunities. Meetings can be even held online. Now, let me circle back around to the word mastermind. Well, I joined a group with mastermind in the name, but I really didn't truly know what it meant. I thought I did, but not really. I had heard along the way that Napoleon Hill had come up with the concept long ago, I think like in the 1930s. He's credited for coining the term in his book, Think and Grow Rich. He defines it as the coordination of knowledge and effort of 2 or more people who work toward a definite purpose in the spirit of harmony. He continues to say that no 2 minds ever come together without thereby creating a third, visible, intangible force which may be linked to a third mind, the mastermind. Hearing that definition for the first time, I really became conflicted. To me, that definition didn't fit exactly with what my mastermind experience has been. After all, I belong to a group with Mastermind in the title. Shouldn't I be moved to feel this third mind, this third intangible force that Mr. Hill was referring to? I wasn't feeling it, or at least I didn't think so. I decided to read the source. I picked up a copy of Think and Grow Rich. I wanted to learn more. It was originally published in 1937, and of course it's a classic. I think it's important to go back to the classics to get the original context of where common terms that we hear today and concepts that we use all the time, we need to know where those came from. Now, have you read Think and Grow Rich? If not, I encourage you to grab a copy and read it in its entirety. It really gives a great perspective. For me, the perspective came in knowing that we are not an island. I think being a small business owner and having a small yet mighty team is important. I love working with other small business owners who want to grow their small yet mighty team to achieve things beyond what they can do themselves. That's the thing, right? The mastermind is achieving things beyond what you could do alone. My networking group is just that, a networking group. We introduce ourselves on a weekly basis and pass referrals. From the repetition and sidebar conversations, relationships and connections are formed. I believe that subgroups or masterminds are formed outside the regular networking meetings. They can be masterminds of just 2 people and casual meetings. This third mind concept comes from sharing ideas, coming up with solutions, and having a sense of accountability, allowing you to go beyond what you can accomplish all on your own. I believe that masterminds can be achieved and come in different forms. On one level, what starts out as a simple exchange of business cards in a networking meeting could lead to added conversations and connections that allow you and your business to grow beyond what you could do on your own. Then, let's shift a little bit because there are groups which revolve around education. Maybe you follow blogs, other podcasts, and YouTube channels, and you receive information from those who you follow. You receive inspiration, ideas, instruction, and motivation to try new things and allow you to move forward to reach what you'd like to achieve. Then you may be moved to take a class or become a part of an online community. You learn from the instruction, but where the magic happens is opening up to conversations with other individuals within the online community in which you've joined, or within a class which you're participating in. What happens is through conversations with other participants, whether it's online or in person, you realize that others may have some of the same challenges you face. Some may have found a solution that has worked for them and give you advice and guidance. You may offer your expertise in an area where other members are struggling. An elevation of accomplishment stems from these types of scenarios. I love the ability to be able to participate in online communities. Just like with anything else, you must be involved and engaged in order to gain any benefit. Go for the instruction, but being involved will allow you to get the most out of the experience. Through the learning communities that I have participated in, I know that I had received the knowledge I needed to overcome some of my fears or apprehensions I had in moving forward with some parts of my business. I received the practical training for the subject matter that I was seeking to learn more about, but I received more when I became involved and met a few of the classmates and participants, and I participated. Even online can be very much engaging through video chat and forums. You get to know people. You get to look forward to hearing from them. You learn from others and go beyond what you can do all on your own. Over the past few years, as I've been networking with many small business owners, I've made many connections with some wonderful people who aren't ready to delegate to a virtual assistant yet. A couple of reasons why usually dominate. The first one is the belief that they cannot afford virtual assistant help. Most of those individuals are solopreneurs. They are doing everything themselves, which leads me to the number 2 reason many aren't ready to delegate. They do everything themselves because they don't think others can do it exactly how they want it. They will struggle and muddle their way through learning how to do everything themselves. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. I was there. I think it's a process, especially when you're first starting out. Much of the time when we start out in our business for ourselves, we don't know exactly what we want to do or what direction to take. So we must explore and do things ourselves. For some of us, we must educate ourselves in how things work and how the cogs go together and go through the process of trial and error to gather information from others to gain the confidence and experience we need. Just like what I did so many years ago when I first started in the medical field. I learned by trial and error, and I built on my experiences by doing the actual work. Just learn by doing, contacting and connecting with the right people to advance my skills and my career. For those solopreneurs not ready to delegate yet, I still worked with them. I was drawn to help them. They asked for my help, my advice. What they asked me was to show them how to do some of the things that my team of virtual assistants and I do. We discussed the role of email marketing in their business, or how social media fit, maybe how to get organized in follow-up with their prospects. I'd answer things like, what is a blog? We'd discuss how to set up their website. I do quite a bit of one-on-one training sessions, and then I moved to do a few workshops. My mission is to help those who have that limiting belief that they aren't good with computers, and they are allowing that belief to hold them back from their progress. All they need is the confidence and ideas to move forward so that they know how they want to develop their systems and how to grow their business. Accomplish More Academy was born from the one-on-one training sessions into an online community where I lead training sessions on how to use tools like MailChimp, Facebook business pages, or even creating your own website. But we also have opportunities for members to interact and engage so that we can make connections and gain ideas. And another component that's very important in growth is that we have a level of accountability. Holding yourself accountable and surrounding yourself with like-minded, highly motivated people to help hold you accountable allows for faster growth than if you were to do it all alone. My belief is that in order for any of us to grow our businesses, we must form a team. But for some of us, our team must first start with a group where we can learn the basics so that we can wrap our heads around how we want things to be done in our businesses. Then we are better able to delegate parts or all of the processes later. We feel like we can manage the process better if we have some experience with actually doing it. The Accomplish More Academy enrollment is now open. It's a place where you can learn the basics and not feel like an amateur. If you aren't ready to delegate or outsource yet and are doing everything yourself, but feel a bit lost when it comes to the tech stuff, and you know that tech stuff is supposed to make your life easier and better able to help market your business better, then I invite you to go over to accomplishmoreacademy.com. It's time for you to get out of your comfort zone and make room for growth. You can also email me at podcast@scrivenersolutions.com if you have any questions about the Academy and to see if it's right for you. And that's podcast at scrivener solutions.com. Now, if you're good with tech, then you may already be participating in other learning communities where you're stretched a bit and you're stretched toward growth. And that is great. But I've talked about networking groups and learning groups, but in the true sense of the word mastermind, it's really not coaching, it's not a class, nor is it networking. But I believe there are elements of coaching, of classes, and of networking where you can achieve a sense of that third mind. You are elevated to a height that you wouldn't have achieved on your own. But let's go to the strictest sense. A true mastermind is a group that offers a combination of education, brainstorming, and peer support and accountability. Usually, it's a fairly small group where members sharpen their business or personal skills and challenge each other to achieve lofty goals. There's a facilitator, but they don't dominate the conversation. Everyone participates equally. There's confidentiality so that members may share with total honesty and openness. It stimulates creative thinking and guides your decision-making process. Belonging to a mastermind is a challenge. It takes a commitment, but it's worth it because you are led and nudged forward in a way that you can't achieve on your own. Everyone in the group benefits. Any one of these scenarios, whether it's networking in a referral group, a community pivoting around education like the Accomplish More Academy, or a true mastermind group, I believe that making the investment in all three groups is important. I like to belong to all three because it gives you different elements. And the key here is investment is important. You could join free groups, but without the investment coming from your wallet, you really aren't motivated or committed to even show up. You will find other pressing issues to fill that time, and you'll always find excuses not to be there. Now, I don't even participate in free groups because I know this to be true. I'm not committing myself, but making an investment that comes right out of your wallet motivates you to make the investment in your time. I know it motivates me to make the investment in my time. That's why I make investments in the groups I participate in. No mastermind or no educational group or no networking group works without first showing up. You must be present. To gain the most from any group, you must be open-minded and ready to receive the information. And finally, you need to contribute by engaging. Again, if you haven't read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, it's high time that you grab your copy and read it. If it's been a while since you've read it, then maybe it's a good time to read it again. And I'd love for you to drop me a note with your thoughts on the book and your thoughts about what a mastermind means to you. What do you want to get out of a mastermind? You can always email me at podcast@scrivenersolutions.com. And I'm going to wrap it up for today, and I want to say thanks for being here. Remember to go over to accomplishmoreacademy.com and register for the Academy to be a part of this online community that we're dedicated to those who want to learn the basics and not feel like an amateur, so you can springboard to the next level of your business growth. Now, until next time, I wish you a fantastic week.